What was that disgusting thing someone you were dating told you that changed your image of them? I had one date with a woman who told me she was in therapy for domestic abuse. I thought it meant she had been abused by her spouse. Through talking with her, she mentioned burning her daughter with a curling iron, on purpose. That's when I realized she was the abuser. I was glad she was getting therapy for it, but I couldn't keep dating her.
I'm glad she's in therapy. My mother was abusive, and holy shit, does that mess you up in the worst way. I'll never be able to relate to the idea of unconditional love that a mother is supposed to embody because of it. I don't celebrate Mother's Day and don't understand why people want to go home or be around family. Obviously, any form of abuse, whether physical, emotional, or financial, is all bad, has a significant impact, but an abusive mother just seems more insidious because of what a mother represents in society. I know the best way for people to recover is to interact with normal people, but for your health, I'm glad you didn't take on that burden. Some things are better left to the imagination after I undressed. I followed you a couple of times, but you never noticed me. I love you. From now on, you're not allowed to speak to other men. All that from the same guy, on the same night, on the first and only date. He relayed the story of how he had thrown a full milkshake out of a moving car at an old lady who was walking on the sidewalk, and hit her full in the chest. He could barely get the story out, he was laughing so hard. I thought this was something he had maybe done when he was in middle school and trying to show off for his friends. That would have been bad enough. No, he did this when he was 21. What a plain fucking asshole. Fuck you, John.
It wasn't a lie, really. It was just something I said so you'd like me. Once I realized that she didn't think lies counted if they were told to manipulate people, I was out.
He told me he put antibiotics in an ex-girlfriend's drink because he thought he gave her chlamydia and didn't want her to know. He confessed this. Like, what the actual f***?
I know someone that did this. She contracted the clap from her ex who she hadn't been with in months. She was dating a new guy when she found out. She didn't want him to think she had been cheating, because she hadn't been, so she put the antibiotics in his food to avoid an awkward conversation. We were like 17 at the time. I always wondered what came of the situation. We weren't super close, and it was the end of the school year, so I never got a follow-up. It wasn't a confession. He was showing you how good of a guy he is. He's like, just think about it. I'll fix the problems I cause in your life, and hope you're not allergic to that particular antibiotic so that I don't go to prison for murder.
My ex completely changed after we got married. When I asked him why he'd lied to me about who he was before, he literally said, I didn't think you'd like me if you knew. Damn straight. I was like, don't you think I kind of deserve to decide that for myself? Now I just can't trust you at all. And he said, but then you wouldn't have married me. Surprise, surprise, we got divorced. During him breaking up with me, and I'm sad, don't be jealous of the woman I end up with. She will just be a sex toy. After knowing him for like 6 years, he randomly told me he was really depressed I quit my old job and that I had lost a lot of use to him. The wording really threw me off. He was pretty good at masking, so I thought he just misstated it. Surely my use wasn't my career? Oh, no, it was. He said that a big part of his interest in me was my career because he had hoped to have one like mine, and it's how we met, so me switching was a bit of a letdown. Eventually he clarified that even though I was now making over 5x the salary of what I made at my prior job and had completely transformed my life, and shared a lot of that money with him, daily, from good food to designer clothes he liked, the fact that I no longer worked in his industry made him sad every day, and he felt like I should have stayed in that industry to help his career by having contacts and advice. But he knew I was selfish and would take that the wrong way. Not really dating because we had only one date, but this guy on a first date proudly tells me about how when his ex kicked him out of the house, she owned the house, he took an upper decker in all 3 of the toilets in the house, meaning he defecated in the tank, and hid feces, his literal feces, between the mattress and box spring of her bed and the guest bed, and also smeared them on the bottom of several kitchen drawers and in 2 register vents. The kicker. His version of why she kicked him out and deserved the feces, literally, he gave her was, she was crazy, she got jealous just because she's wasting her life working for the man, and I still know how to have fun and not let money control me. I bailed on that date so fast. He proudly admitted to having videos of all of his conquests in the act on his phone. This is quite specific and not even that bad compared to other stories in this thread, but it was like the seed that led to my entire view of him changing. We had gone for some afternoon drinks on a Saturday and afterward went to the shop to buy some snacks and wine to take home. We were both a little tipsy but not drunk. When we were in the wine aisle, he picked up a bottle to check the price. Then when he tried to put it back on the shelf, he dropped it, and it shattered on the floor. He stared at the smashed bottle for a few seconds, then just turned and walked away. I was just left on my own and couldn't just leave the broken bottle there, so I found an employee and pointed it out and offered to pay for it or help clean up in some way, but they said it was fine. I still felt terrible. Afterward, I asked him why he'd just left the broken bottle without saying anything, and he just shrugged and was like, "It wasn't my fault. Who cares?" I still think about it sometimes and randomly feel really sad. It was a small mom-and-pop kind of store, and the wine was probably 10 to 15 euros. It was just so apathetic and shitty of him. Turns out, he was kind of an apathetic and shitty person in real life too. It just hadn't been directed at me, yet.
Only other gay guy at my rural, deep south, high school, super cute. I was infatuated. He was out and very confident, which I really admired. Finally scored a date with him and he ran over a squirrel on purpose on our way to dinner. Laughed his ass off when the tires lifted and then crunched. My soul left my fucking body, I swear.
Months after telling my ex how I felt sexually violated by him and ongoing abuse and arguments, he revealed to me that his first thought after me telling him how I felt was, "I'll show you what it's really like to be violated." And he essentially confessed to planning how he wanted to rape me, down to the detail. I already resented him, but this made me genuinely fear him. While fighting with his younger brother about politics and who was right, who has the blue check mark next to their name, he was 48 years old, trying to one-up his 34-year-old brother as if he should recognize his wisdom. Ah yes, elite Instagram man. I don't read books written by women. Yes, he was a total that I should light its ass on fire when referring to my dog and then suggested I let her go loose in the woods. He had never even met my dog, just had a thing against tiny animals I suppose. It was something he said while I was with him in the car. Sitting at a set of lights, he rolled down the window and shouted, "Hey fatty, have another donut," at a large woman waiting to cross the road. I was once on a date with a guy who made mean comments about a larger woman on the dance floor, gonna need a bigger dance floor, type stuff, and who wouldn't stop bragging about his job and how much money he made. He also knew I had a fear of heights and kept trying to pressure me into going on this 400-foot swing ride. I kept saying no, and he kept mocking me, saying, "It's only a small ride." Without missing a beat, I replied back, "You're a small ride." It just came out. I didn't even realize what I said until after I said it, but yeah, there was no date after that.
Some guy I used to work with asked me to hit on his girlfriend. He said he thought she was into me and he was tired of her. So rather than just being a normal person and having a conversation with her about it, he tried to manipulate me and probably her into hooking up so that presumably he could kick off/end it. So weird.
He saw an interracial couple with their biracial toddler at the mall and told me he didn't believe in mixing races. I am biracial. We had been together for 15 years. I confessed to him that I was having suicidal thoughts and was basically begging him for help. He told me that I was a worthless cunt, he hated me, and that he wished he could kill me himself, which I found to be very impolite. ETA, the reason I stayed was that I felt trapped. At the time, there was every form of abuse one could endure, with the exception of physical, though that was sporadic. Emotional, and financial abuse were prevalent. I felt worthless and believed I was lucky that someone would care about me, a disabled, worthless waste of skin suffering from a crippling pain condition that led to depression and anxiety. He isolated me from all my friends, even tried to isolate me from my family. After he said the above, I actually ended up in the hospital with a life-threatening infection within days of him saying that. I had been ignoring the infection because things were so bad at home, and I was scared to leave my daughter and my dog with him. Story in my post history. He was mad that I took off for over a week, I was in intensive care and having emergency surgery. I should have been in the hospital for weeks, but between COVID and me threatening to sign out against medical advice so I could get home to my daughter, I had managed to strike a deal of sorts with the doctors at the hospital for them to let me leave well before I should have. When I came home, he was still angry about me being suicidal. He refused to help me even though I was still very ill and had a giant surgical wound to deal with. And that was when I decided enough was enough. My daughter was old enough to start really understanding how he treats me, and I'll be damned if she thinks this is what a relationship is supposed to be like. It's been almost exactly 2 years of careful planning, secrets, and support from loving friends who welcomed me back into our group with open arms. I am just waiting to hear back about housing assistance, and then my daughter and I can start a new and happier life. I'm happy to answer any additional questions. If someone reading this is going through something similar, I promise, you can get out. It might take time, but you can do it. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other and don't give up hope. You are loved, I promise.
And well, friends, that was all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, let me know with a thumbs up so that YouTube can share these stories with more people. Remember to hit the bell icon to be the first to know when we upload a new video. See you next time.